Good morning, friends. This is Journey Home Meditation. Welcome to our morning sit. Let's find our meditation posture. Whether you're sitting on a mat on the floor with your legs crossed, or a pillow, or you're in a chair like I am, with your feet flat to the floor and your thighs parallel to the ground. Maybe you're lying Shavasana on your back, or sitting in the front seat of your vehicle, wherever you are right now. We want to find balance. Balance is the goal. And breathe. We want to bring our spine pulled out in an erect and outstretched position, trying to elongate the spine. Drop the shoulders. Pull the shoulder blades together just a slightest amount to open up the space in our chest and in our heart. Check in with your breath. Just notice the timbre and the quality of the breath. How does your breathing feel? How are you emotionally? How's your mental body? And how does your physical body feel? Just take a moment to do a quick scan of all of our different expressions. Our physical being, our emotional being, our mental being. Today we'll begin with Nadi Shodhana, alternate nostril breathing. We're going to place our hands in Vishnu Mudra, thumb extended, first and second finger folded down, third finger and small finger extended. This is on the right hand. I'm going to place the right hand palm facing us. And we'll be alternating between breathing out and in of our left nostril with our right nostril closed by our thumb. And then after breathing in the left nostril, we'll trade sides, close off the left nostril with our two extended fingers, and exhale completely from the right side, and then inhale completely from the right side, and then switch back. This is Nadi Shodhana breathing. Okay. We're not going to hold pauses at the top or the bottom for this practice. Today we're just going to breathe back and forth. The goal is to create an equilibrium between the two. So you'll find that one of your sides may be a bit more restricted than the other. This is completely natural. We want to count how long it takes for a steady breath in and a steady breath out from that side and match it with the other side's breath. I hope that makes sense. You'll see. Here we go. And we'll cover the right nostril with the thumb and exhale. And in. Switch. And in. Switch. Just keep going back and forth. And eventually, as we continue this practice, we'll want to slow the breath, having more controlled, longer inhales and longer controlled exhales. Okay. Remember, when we're breathing, we're using the diaphragm, and that is going to pull the air into our bodies, and it's going to extend the belly. And this is a way to take a proper full breath. Okay, a lot of us, when we're used to mouth breathing, we're connected directly into the chest. Your chest wants to blow up first. Your diaphragm is not extending down. But when you breathe in and out of the nose, you're engaging the diaphragm, and you're getting a full extension of the diaphragm inside. Now, when you're breathing in, you can start to begin to notice that there's different parts of the body that you can breathe into, right? We are not two-dimensional. We're not pieces of paper. We have a full round shape, so you can breathe in to the front body, feeling the front muscles stretch. You can also consciously breathe into the back of the lungs, causing the back to stretch, and you could breathe in to the sides, feeling the ribs stretch. And it's good to get a more dynamic experience of breathing by checking in with the body, feeling where this breath is going, right? And possibly more important to focus on than the in-breath is the out-breath, right? We have a lot of retention of breath throughout our day. We are breathing in a lot because we're exasperated or we're stressed out, we have anxiety, but we don't exhale completely. Right? And this limits the amount of fresh air we can bring into our lungs, and there's a lot of issues that begin to take place after a long enough time. So we want to really practice on fully bringing the belly button into the spine, allowing the shoulders to drop, as we fully expel the breath. So we'll switch practices now, and we'll do Brahmari Pranayama. This is the Hummingbird Breath. Right. This is one of my favorite morning practices, and this one I actually take throughout my day. So this is a practice of closing off senses. Right? We're closing the eyes and covering them. We're going to be taking the thumbs and covering the ears. So I'm going to remove my headphones. Okay. So it can be done in two ways with your hands. Right? One is to completely cover the face, And you want the thumbs to be able to go right over top of the ear flaps. Okay. The other hand position you can use is to open the hands, placing the small fingers just on the chin, third fingers just under the nostrils, middle fingers right on the sinuses, first fingers over the eyes gently, and thumbs closing the ears. This is going to be a practice of humming. Okay, so we'll be breathing in deeply through our nose, and when we exhale, closing the mouth, we hum. And as we hum, you can open and close the ears, creating a vibratory ebb and flow of sound, right? You're going to feel this sound inside of your body. You're going to hear it inside of your head. And as you're opening and closing, you're creating this movement within the sinuses and within the body of sound. One of the things that is occurring that we've learned about recently, but we've known about for a long time, because this practice is thousands of years old, and it's been taught to us that this practice increases blood flow, increases energy levels, brings a calmness to the mind, and a balance into the body-mind connection. Right? This is the teachings of the practice for a very long time. But what we're understanding now is when you hum, you're actually greatly increasing the levels of nitric oxide produced by the body. And this is a necessary component in blood flow. Right? This is going to be opening and allowing the blood vessels to open more fully, increasing blood flow. Right? When we increase blood flow, we increase the movement of oxygen around the body and the expulsion of CO2. So this is all around a lovely practice, and it just creates a sense of calm. You'll see. So we'll begin this practice, and we'll be one round is an inhale and a complete exhale of air, humming the entire time. So we'll do a few rounds of this together. Okay, and then immediately following the practice, we'll go into a few moments of silent meditation, so we can stay in that space that's going to be created by the humming. So here we go. Remember to check your posture. You want to elongate the spine, right? Pull the shoulders together. Make sure that you're in a balanced position without straining the body in any one direction. If your legs are crossed, make sure your knees aren't being strained and your ankles and feet. And we'll breathe out completely. And in. And begin. And return to natural breath. You can keep your eyes closed. I'll invite the bell, and we'll take 5 minutes of silent meditation. Begin bringing the awareness back to the body. Take note of your breath. Take note of your sensations, your mental space, and your emotional body. You can bring the hands together, create some friction to warm the hands. Warm the eyes and the face, and come on back. One of the things that I find both extremely beneficial about this practice, as well as sometimes very frustrating, is that this practice doesn't promise feelings of happiness in the moment. Right? Anybody that does promise you that every time you sit to meditate, you're going to get to a place inside of butterflies and lollipops and some sort of a blissed out state. Basically, people trying to get high with meditation, right? Then I'm very wary of those promises that people make, because in my experience, this practice is not about feeling a specific way, but it's about feeling in whatever kind of way you're feeling. And really touching into that, really allowing yourself to feel that. And in doing so, this is the practice of opening ourselves, right? Because we get into those places that close off in the noise and the movement of our daily lives. Maybe we put a wall around them. Maybe our body is feeling the tension of an experience and it's tightened around this experience. And then we move throughout our day and we keep moving on. We tuck things, we tuck emotions away, we tuck experiences away, and we tuck all of these things, and then we hide them into our bodies. And because we don't necessarily enjoy the process of feeling the pain of these situations, right? Because it's not something that is engendered in our culture, we don't have the tools for it, we don't feel that we're strong enough to deal with it. When we have them held into our bodies, we dissociate from our bodies. This is what the mind can do. It's a very logical step to do when your thoughts that are being validated and reinforced are saying avoid pain, avoid suffering, avoid negativity, avoid the shadow, avoid these things, then you're actively practicing gearing the mind towards dissociation. Right? And we get really good at it. And we become masters. Masters of dissociation. We create a $1 trillion industry around dissociating from our pain, dissociating from our suffering, our struggle, where there's probably $1 trillion black market industry around numbing ourselves or removing ourselves from anywhere but here, anywhere but now, right? Getting ourselves out of this feeling, whatever this feeling is. And so it's a natural inclination for people to want to discover meditation as a safer, drug-free environment to receive that same kind of a dissociation, that same kind of a high. That's not unheard of. And in fact, I think each of us have probably done this at some point. We know what this is when we're feeling really frustrated, really upset, and we think, I just need a session of meditation. I just need to meditate. And that's okay. That's what our bodies have the ability to do this. It's not a judgment. I'm simply addressing the notion that if there's been a promise that every time you close your eyes and silence the mind and move into the body, that what you're going to approach and contend with is going to always be this blissed out pleasure. It can be, but to get there, right, we have to learn to sit with all of the painful things that we find. Right? Bliss is the unencumbered ability to experience every expression of life fully. This is bliss. When I don't make myself attached to something and hold on to it to keep it, when I'm not struggling against myself, when I don't have an internal battle of trying to silence parts of my being from being experienced by myself, or hide myself, or hide from others inside of myself, when I can fully experience sorrow, sadness, disappointment, pain, discomfort, without turning away, and be able to hold space for that in myself, then I can begin to enter into bliss. Right? That unencumbered experience of any expression of life. You look at some of these masterful yogis and enlightened beings throughout history, and you read the reports, the biographies, and people say, whenever I was with this person, it seemed that they were in a constant state of joy. Even as their village was being destroyed and they were being rushed out, even in the midst of their pain and their sorrow, and in the pain and suffering of those around them, they're somehow able to maintain a level of joyousness. Right? And some people will say, well, they're just blasted out of their minds, right? They're obviously completely dissociated from reality. Is that true? Or is it possible that through a steady practice of detachment without dissociation, a steady practice of sitting with what is, and in doing so become fully accepting of what's happening right now, not accepting as in a way that we justify injustices or that we allow for harm to be committed, but acceptance in the way that we don't remove ourselves from the responsibility of experiencing this. There's a big difference there, right? There's a big difference in the notion that we can remove ourselves from the responsibility of experiencing something. And we can do that many ways. We avoid suffering in many ways. And many of those ways are cleverly disguised as engagement. Right? So we take on this notion of fighting. We're going to fight this thing. Okay, that's okay. That's a way that we can react. Right? But if we get too attached to this notion of fighting this thing, we begin to find that we will completely remove ourselves from the possibility of us and this thing that we're up against, these people, these ideas. We remove ourselves from the very notion that we are still connected, that we are still experiencing this world together. And in that disconnection from one another begins the dissociation. It creates the other. These people that just aren't like you. These people that just don't feel the way you feel. These people that just don't get it. And sometimes we can start to develop a smugness, right? Say things like, well, I used to be a lot like you. Yeah. Then I woke up. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we play with these roles and we dance in and out of them. But it's only when we try to hold ourselves into one position, one way of feeling, one way of being, one way of behaving, one way of reacting, that we develop neurosis. Right? So we repeat the same reaction over and over again, the same words, the same behaviors. And instead of entering into communion and relationship with those parts of us, we form an adversarial relationship. Right? All of a sudden it's us against ourselves. It's us against these parts of ourselves. And then we become like vigilant, like cops. And any time that we start to experience or feel an expression of something we don't like, we punish ourselves for it. And we punish others. When we can see the bits of ourselves coming out in the reaction of others, the bits of ourselves that we've shamed, that we've hidden, that we've buried, that we've battled against, we shame these people. Right? We point fingers. We completely dissociate from our relationship to other people. And because we are so fortified against this thing that we found in ourselves that we don't want to experience, that we've turned it into some kind of alien monster. So then we get back to the point of sitting in meditation. Sometimes we'll come up against these things that we didn't realize we were still holding on to. Right? Maybe you've experienced a few moments in your life of the revelation of letting go of everything. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. You got it down, man. You got it down. Like you got, the mantras, you got the chants, sitting in the asanas. You're doing it good. You're the best yogi. And then all of a sudden, one of them pops back up. A little surprise. This is the invitation to bliss. Because this is the opportunity that you have now. No matter where you are with your perceived skill level or whatever, this is the chance now to create a relationship with yourself. Sitting in meditation, having maybe a difficult time focusing. The body wants to move. So what is that? Why is my body so adamant that I twitch, I get itches, I need to stretch. I'm fidgety. Right? This is possibly a learned reaction of discomfort when something is about to be opened up that you don't want to contend with. In the past, when you've felt these feelings coming up, right, you have done everything you could to reject them. So maybe you're having a difficult time getting into those places now. Right? But it's like the way that certain animals right before an earthquake can sense these micro tremors in the earth, and they begin to get nervous, they begin to hide, to get scared. Animals will flee certain areas. Right? They're tuned in to the subtleties of shift in the earth. Right? They're not as distracted as we are. Some people instantly, when an earthquake is coming, they can feel it hours before anybody else does, right? So it's the same thing happening inside. There's a sensation that this feeling is what's going to be arising. This anger, this disappointment, this sadness, the sorrow, the feelings of betrayal, the feelings of guilt, shame, whatever it is, it's going to be coming up. It's there. It's just under the surface. So the body is responding to its training. Nope, let's just shake it off, move through. No, you don't want to go here. Nope. And it's our mind working to protect you from the thing that you've trained it to say is the enemy. So the invitation to bliss it comes with the asana, the seat. We become the seat. This is what Patanjali spoke of in the Yoga Sutras. He didn't speak of downward dog or half lotus cobra or any of these asanas. Patanjali didn't speak of those in the Yoga Sutras. Not that those aren't extremely valuable, because they're very important. The body movements are very important. They're very helpful. But the practice is, the asana is the meditation posture. And beyond just how we hold our body, it's in the holding of the body how we can sit with us. So we breathe. We first notice the breath to understand an insight into what we may be feeling that we've dissociated from. Is my breath a little fluttery? I'm nervous maybe. Am I retaining on the exhale? I'm feeling insecure. Am I having extra large inhales? I might be a little depressed. Whatever these things are pointing to for you inside, we notice the breath. Then we become aware of the sensation, the emotion. And then we modify our own breath. We calm the breath. Slow, extended inhales and exhales. And we are actively sending a signal to the mind and the body that you are safe. You are secure. You're okay. And then we begin to allow the blossoming of that tightened fist that we have around our emotional state or around our sensation, something that we've been burying because we've been terrified to let it out. So it comes up for us. And even if you're just dipping your toes in the water, right, and you begin to feel it, you begin to become aware of it, there it is. That's your awareness. And you know what it is. You begin to see its face. You're like, okay, I'm feeling anxiety. And even if you say, hey, you know what, I need to step away, you can come back. Begin to breathe. Having the awareness that you understand what's happening in your body is the very important part of the relationship. And then from there, you can gently come back, allowing the feelings to come up again, maintaining the breath. Ram Dass's mantra for this practice is, I am loving awareness. You love the thing. You love it. And you love being aware of it. So Ram Dass would say, I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. And is it fake it till you make it? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, who can say, right? Where we become so refined at playing these roles and telling ourselves all of these stories and things. Who can say if one is more of a truth than the other? But you're making it. So go on. Love awareness. Why not? Right? Why not? Whatever you need to do or say to be able to enter into an honest relationship with yourself, that's going to bring about the invitation to bliss. Because when you find that you stop having the urge and the training to react, closing off yourself from pain, shame, guilt, then you have the strength or the confidence, or you have the capacity to love enough to hold space for it. And what happens to it then? What happens to pain when it's seen and when space is held for it? It diminishes. It diminishes. And what happens to fear when the lights are turned on and there's an actual face put to the monster you were envisioning in your head? And the fear diminishes. When the story can be told and you're not judged, you're not dismissed, and you're not made to feel stupid or made to feel at fault, but you are understood for a human being having a human experience in a human way. That level of forgiveness, the shame it's gone. It's not necessary. So this is the cultivation of loving compassion. This is the cultivation of bliss. And right now, I think it's pretty surface level that we are here. We're in it. We have a lot of teachers around us right now inviting us into that pain, right? We have so many tragic events happening. So many people are suffering that we are made aware of. We don't have to seek out suffering. It's right there. What does it feel like to you? When you allow yourself to hold space and feel it, what does it feel like from the inside? When you come upon a tragedy, when you come upon wars and famines and mass shootings and racism and poverty, genocide, all of these things, any of these things. When you embrace it, how does it make you feel? How does it make your body feel? This is important. You'll have people intellectualize resistance. You'll have people intellectualize injustices. And they'll say things like, your feelings don't matter. But if you don't know how to feel your own experience of something, how are you able to have an honest participation? And without an honest participation, how are we actually shifting the paradigm to one of trust, to one of grieving, to one of openness, to one of love? Honestly, I'm asking an honest question. Without the ability to be honest inside of myself with how something makes me feel, or rather than saying how it makes me feel, what feelings I am having in relationship to this thing, where I can no longer pretend it's not me. I can no longer pretend it's not part of my experience. I can no longer pretend it's not a limb of my own body. But I have to embrace it, sit with it, know it, accept it, deal with it. At that point, all that's left is transformation. The invitation to bliss. To put my hands together in the recognized position of gratitude and prayer. And my gratitude right now is for these openings. To be able to experience my sadness, my sorrow. Oh, it's coming up. It's good. I have gratitude for this. And my prayer is that may this experience of suffering bring us into the invitation to bliss. There's so much suffering. And sometimes we can think that we are being empathic because we feel motivated into impotency, or we are paralyzed by the overwhelming feelings that we are experiencing. And we can think this is just me taking on the suffering of the world. Right? You hear this a lot these days. People throw the word empath around. But what if every single one of us were empathic beings? What if this is true? And what if what you're experiencing is not the suffering of the world? What you're experiencing is your suffering through the world. What if there was never a time we weren't empathic? What if there was never a time we were disconnected? What if there was never a time you were doing this on your own? Ever. It never was. It was just a story that you learned. That your individualism, that your individual pain and suffering, that is the suffering of the world. It's not separate from, it's not in comparison to, it's not less than. So when these events occur, it's an invitation to all of the suffering you experience, that you've circumvented, that you've buried, that you've covered up, that you thought you weren't worthy of experiencing, that it wasn't important, that you aren't important enough to share this suffering. That if you open up and share with others, you're going to be judged or shamed or made to feel guilty or stupid for experiencing that suffering. What if that is your empathic feelings of the suffering of the world? What if it's true that you have never been disconnected? You're a part of it all, and all of it is a part of you. What if? Thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today on this journey home. I'm thinking I got to figure out more about how to make this process flow. I'm seeing that people are having a difficult time getting into the Zoom meeting. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, this will all be repaired. I have some changes coming on our end. And then we'll be able to have a full broadcast with people working together. But for right now, I'm just going to have to stick with what I can do, and this is what I have to offer. So, thanks so much. You can find all of these morning sits. Pardon me. Choking on my tea. You can find all of these archived on our YouTube channel. You can interact with others around these ideas and other ideas, meditation techniques, pranayama, yoga, and anything on your healing journey at Journey Home Sangha, Sangha, Journey Home Sangha on Facebook. It's a Facebook group. You can join the group and participate there. You can come to the Journey Home Meditation Facebook page. You can also head over to patreon.com/journeyhomemeditation and join the Patreon to help support these efforts with financial support. We are running at an extreme deficit financially to create this venture, but it's okay. I know we're going to be okay. So if you want to help participate in lightening that load, that burden, we'd be much, much appreciative. So Journey Home Meditation on Patreon. You can also send any one-time donations to journeyhomemeditation@gmail.com through PayPal, or at Journey Home Meditate on PayPal. All right. Thank you so much. That's it for me. That's all the advertising you're going to get. Howdy Om. We'll see you tomorrow.